everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and we're getting ready for our weekly art journal challenge. And this week's verse is Jeremiah 33:3. Call to me, and I will answer you, and I will tell you great and mighty things which you do not know. So the prompts this week are hidden/revealed, and circular, and your favorite color. I did pick the prompt circular because we tend to think of calling on God as like he's up in heaven, we're down here on earth, and we're calling up, and he's down, it's going up to heaven and back down. But honestly, Jesus is inside you. The Holy Spirit is inside of you. And so when you speak to God, you should be like looking to your center. And so that's kind of why I thought circular would help us to get that thought of, we're asking, call to me and I'll answer you, but he's inside of you. So it's kind of in your heart and all that. So anyway, that was why I picked circular as one of the prompts. And as far as favorite color, well, I used to always say red was my favorite color, but honestly, I think that I keep going back to this peachy red, of different shades of this peachy red. So I honestly think that that is probably my favorite color. And so this sort of in different variations. And so I think that's probably it. Although I think I will try to work some red into it. I think what I'm going to do though to get some texture is I'm just going to have some fun with some, let's see, maybe some black markers. I don't think it'll bleed through this. Maybe I better use black paint because I think markers would bleed through, but black paint hopefully will not. Okay, so I've got some of this deli paper that I've painted on, and what do I have? I have some crazy faces here. I might try one of those. I don't know if you've used deli paper before, or you can do tissue paper too, I think, but it's really cool. I was kind of doubtful about it, but I started using it more and more lately. I had bought a whole package of it, so I thought, well, I better get busy on this. It's like a lifetime supply. So I need to make some more, but I started just kind of painting some things on here and stamping, like I stamped Jesus and things like that. So but it's kind of neat because you can, instead of doodling on your paper, you can do this and see what you got ahead of time, and you can kind of lay it out where you want, move it around on your paper. This looks pretty dry to me, so I'm going to go ahead with the next step, which I'm going to do like the apricot color that I like, but I'm also going to mix some hot pink. So the usual colors that I seem like I always use. I'm going to throw some red in though, because honestly, all through my life, I've said that was my favorite color. So to be fair, I'm going to put some on, and I'm going to use some white gesso. We're talking swoops. We're talking circular. So I'm going to kind of drip this on in a circular way. gesso? White gesso. Oops. Which will make it more opaque. Okay, and then I'm going to get a big brush. It's already got some color in it because I've been working on other things. So I don't want it to look like a bullseye. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna let that be my initial background anyway. And you can kind of see where some of the stuff shows through, so that's good. Okay, I am back and ready to work on this, and looks like I think I'm gonna do my lettering and then cover it with something for the conceal part. Although this concealed kind of came up with these things I put underneath the paint. I'm kind of getting a double example of that, I guess you could say. I was going to say, as far as the scripture is concerned, I was debating whether to tell this story or not, but when we were up in Indiana, I had taken a job in Indiana that I thought the Lord had wanted me to take. But then after I got up there, it had been a choice of two things, and I think I picked the wrong one because I thought I was going to go up there. I made up the decision myself out of my own mind, you know, reasoning, and we got up there and just nothing was working out. I had a job, but it was just nothing felt right, nothing, couldn't find a good church, nothing. I thought I was going to go up there and witness to people about Jesus at my new job. But what happened was I got up there and nobody wanted to hear about Jesus. So it was just like a wall. And so just, I was really frustrated because nothing was working. And we had stuff in the basement that we hadn't unpacked. And I usually am very proactive about things. I like to get it done. I like to just get everything done. And I just couldn't get motivated to unpack those boxes. Every time I'd start to, I'd be like, no, I don't think so. And I didn't want to say anything to my husband because he had quit his job in Kansas City to follow me there because we thought, well, he'll find a job there. He hadn't been able to find a job. And another thing that wasn't working out right. And so I didn't want to tell him how I was feeling because I didn't want to get him upset because here we are, we're up here by ourselves. I thought we can't both freak out. So this one day I got up before I went to work and I was just beside myself and I said, Lord, I need a word from you. And then immediately what came to me was, where am I going to get a word? Because of course now this goes into the whole charismatic thing. So if you're not charismatic, you can fast forward through this part. But I had words before from people. And I always felt like I couldn't get my own word. Like if I hear something, I would think, is that me or is that God? So I like to get words from strangers who just walk up and say, hey, the Lord told me to tell you blah, blah, blah. Because that has, in the past, worked out really well. And that way I feel like it's legit and not somebody making it up for me because they know my situation. So anyway, here I am feeling sorry for myself because I don't have anybody there to give me a word. So I went to work. And when I came home at lunch, Johnny was there and he said, I could tell you were upset this morning. And he said, so I called Andrew Womack Ministries prayer line and the lady said she has a word for you. And you know what? It could have been Jesus wept. And I would have just been thrilled because it was like God touching me and saying, I got you. I heard you this morning. It didn't matter what the word was. Just the fact that I had asked for a word that morning, and then here's a word. And Johnny never calls that hotline, so that was very unusual. So anyway, the word that she gave was this: call to me and I will answer you, and I will tell you great and mighty things which you do not know. As it worked out, it was quite something up there. I think I may have given the story of it on some other video, but basically, talking about another word, Kenneth Copeland, who I like a lot, he has a word for the year. And in 2012, he sent out the CDs with his word for the year, which said, and I'm listening to him on the way to work, and he said, this is going to be the year of suddenlies and surprises. And I was like, ooh, I would like to have some suddenlies and surprises, Lord. And about, I don't know, I can't remember now, like a week and a half later, they come to our business and tell us they're going to close us down. The home parent company was going to shut it down and bring it back to where they were, which was in Kansas City. And they didn't need any of us to go with them because they had all these people laid off in Kansas City that could be happy to take the job. So here we are. We have, I had gotten a buyout when I left the other company. And this time I didn't really have a big buyout. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any family. And here we are. We bought a house, and Johnny doesn't have a job. And I was just dumbfounded. So immediately we start praying and asking God, like, what do we do? And Johnny says, put the house up for sale. So we put the house up for sale. It's sold in like 9 days. So then I'm like, well, and the job wasn't going to go away till July. And this was like April or May. I start putting feelers out for jobs. And there was another company down here in Arkansas that did the same thing. It was another subsidiary of the parent company. And I had friends there, so I started asking around about stuff there. And so there was a job, and things just came together. And actually, so I got the job here, obviously. And that later they told me, like, they hired me in like record speed. It didn't feel fast when I was waiting on the other end, but they said, and I'd seen after that when they would hire somebody, it took them forever to get through all the HR stuff. And they got me through and got me interviewed and so on and so forth, and we moved down here. And this was the other choice when I went to Indiana. I could have chosen to come here to begin with, and I chose Indiana because I thought, well, this company, it was a Christian company, and so they don't really need me there because everybody's saved, and so what would be the purpose? In my own reasoning, I'm going to help God out and go up to Indiana. And so he got us here in spite of myself. Also, we had said, well, when we moved from Kansas City to Indiana, we had people help us. We had friends. So like I said, we didn't have anybody in Indiana. And there was a loophole in the whole arrangement that said, if you happen to get a job with one of the subsidiaries, we will pay for your move. So they completely took care of our move. They packed everything. They loaded it. They moved it. And when we came on the job interview, I'd been looking at houses. And so this is another thing. And sorry for the long story. You can fast forward through this if it's too much. When I was in Kansas City, I had a big 2-story house, and then I married Johnny. And he didn't like the house. It was 100 years old, so you can imagine all the things, something always needing to be fixed and stuff. And he didn't like that style house. He wanted a ranch house. I didn't want a ranch house. And I wanted to get out of that house, and that was one of the things I'd been asking God for. But I couldn't imagine, like, what kind of house will we both like? So when we got to Indiana, he put us in this really cool house, like a farmhouse style, and it had a big wooden porch on the front, and we had like 5 acres, and you could go out and sit on the porch. It was lovely, and it had 2 bedrooms upstairs and the master downstairs, and it was kind of open concept. So I thought, oh, this is the kind of house I need. Okay, I got it. Thank you, Lord. Thanks for your help. So then when I looked for houses in Arkansas, I'm like, okay, God, I got it. I'll go look for that. So I looked for that kind of house. Couldn't find anything like it down here. And down here where I am, it's near Bentonville, which is the headquarters of Walmart. And so there's a lot of small communities with like 50,000 to 100,000 people. There's like 4 or 5 of them in this area. So I looked at all of them. And here where I am, which is Siloam Springs, it's a smaller town, which I like. This one house stood out, which is the one we ended up getting. And it's nothing like the house in Indiana at all, but it was wonderful. And honestly, it was over the top of like I didn't see myself living in this house. It has a swimming pool in the backyard, a great big swimming pool. And it's just a very, very nice house. But while I was up in Indiana, I would go over to these model homes because Johnny was in Kansas City still trying to get our house sold there. So I had a lot of time on my hands on the weekends. So I'd go over to these model homes, and they had these beautiful craftsman style houses with all these things, and I would go look at them all the time. I took Johnny over and showed him, but it was kind of like out of our price range. And not kind of, it was out of our price range. And so that's kind of what this house is. But it was less than the houses in Indiana. It all worked out, and we ended up with this house that's very much like those houses that I was looking at on the weekends when I was up there. So I could see how God worked this out for me. So anyway, how did I get on that? Oh, I was telling you about the word. So anyway, the suddenlies and surprises worked out on that word. And the other things he said in that word, there were several parts of it, and they all came true, so to speak. One of the other parts said, one day, very soon, you will look around and wonder where your enemies have gone to. And when I was in this company, it got really ugly at the end. They sent people in from home office who we didn't know. This was before we knew what was going on. And they came in and they were very dishonest and very mean, actually. They just did some really awful things and made working there very, very difficult. No integrity. It was just awful. So when I got out of there and I heard that part again, I'm like, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, there were 2 or 3 other things I can't remember right at the moment. But so then the other thing is, so let me circle back and then I'll get back to the art project. One of my questions in my mind was, well, how can Kenneth Copeland put out a word that would work for everybody? Because he sends them out to all his partners and everything. And so I called my sister because she's a partner with him. And I called this other friend of mine that's a partner of his. And I said, hey, did you get that word for 2012 from Kenneth Copeland? They go, one of them said no, she didn't think she got it. And the other one said, well, I got it. I think I got it, but I don't know if I ever listened to it. And so what I think is that if that word is really for you, then you hear it. God will make sure that you hear it. And if it's not, it either goes in one ear and out the other, because you have to put faith with it, Anyway, so that's all I got to say about that. So didn't really plan to tell that story today, but there you go. So, all right. So I'm going to write these words and I'll fast forward through it since I talk so long. A few mishaps, but it's not too bad. Now here's the thing. So I got it all on there, and what I should have done is brought it down this way, made it a little more centered, but it is what it is. And so now I need to figure out how I'm going to cover it up. So I'm going to take a second and think about that, and then I'll be back. Okay, I took some copy paper and laid a piece over this, and I'm doing some angel wings, I think. Okay, so I have cut quite a few feathers, and I looked back in my Bible journaling Bible because I knew I had painted wings. So I have these wings I painted. I looked at something on somewhere when I painted these, and they're not perfect by any means, but it gives me an idea of kind of how to go about this. So I need some bigger feathers at the bottom and probably finish up with shorter, smaller feathers at the top. So I'm going to lay this to the side, just kind of keep it in mind. This is probably going to take me a long time. So I will probably not do it all on camera. So I think I'm going to sort my feathers first of all, get them kind of situated, and then I'll come back. Okay, I split these up. I cut out some more sort of in different sizes, and so now I'm going to go ahead and start to glue them on and just hope for the best. So I'll fast forward this and you'll see it all quickly. Okay, so I have a lot of feathers left, and I really like this. I think I'm probably going to use them again somehow. So I'm going to put those in some sort of envelope. Okay, so let's see how this works out. After all that work, I hope they work. Let's see. Oh, let me get a little. Can that hold them all? Okay, all right, so there's feathers for another day. Okay. Okay, so here's my wings. And so now all I have to do is glue them in such a way that they can be opened. Okay, so like that. And this is sticking out for some reason, but I guess that's okay. Okay, so I think I'm just going to glue these down I'm going to have to be careful when I shut this. But that's just the way it goes. And then you can peel them back and see it. So they can actually be glued like that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac, I think. I don't know if that's the best thing, but that's what I'm going to use. So, all right, so I'm just going to glue it. I wonder if I should just fold it. Maybe I should just make a fold in it. Uh-oh, got my glue down too far. Oh, that's all right. Okay. I really like this design, so in a way I hate to cover all of that up, but you know, that's just kind of what happens sometimes, so. Okay. All right. And let's see. Ooh, better back that off just a little bit. Good thing I use Fabri-Tac. Okay. I'm not sure. I guess it gets the idea across that there were two wings. And then you look underneath, and there it is. Call to me, and I will answer you, and I will tell you great and mighty things which you do not know. So the trick will be to shut this and make sure it doesn't get folded up. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for this week. I got all of them. Let's see. I got the favorite color, hidden, and the circular. So I guess that's it for this week. And I'm gonna, see, that's gonna stick out there, but that's just gonna have to be the way it is. So there we go. That's it for this week. I hope you liked it, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.